Hello, for this lesson we are going to be talking about reverse engineering the area of a triangle. So that's just kind of a fancy way of saying we're going to work backwards using the area we're given to find the value of a missing side. Okay? But before we can reverse engineer anything, we need to first understand how to do the normal process. So in the problem on the right, we have a triangle, and we just need to remember how do we find the area of a triangle. Okay? So we have a triangle. It is, as the dimensions 4, 5, and 6. Okay? So we need to understand first, all right, what is the area formula? Area equals 1/2 base times height. Okay? Area equals 1/2 base times height. Okay? Now we need to determine what is the base and the height. We have three values. Well, the base and the height are going to form a right angle, okay? To find the base and the height, they are always going to form a right angle. And it doesn't really matter which one we choose because of the commutative property of multiplication, right? It doesn't matter if it's 4 times 5 or 5 times 4, it's going to be the same as long as we have the two values that are really the base and the height, which is the 4 and the 5. They form a right angle. That 6 does not form a right angle, so it is not the base or the height. So we would plug in those values, 1/2, 4 times 5, right? Then we can go, well, 1/2 of 4, that's 2, 2 times 5, that's going to be 10. So area equals 10. We look for what type of units it's being measured, and it doesn't say, so we would simply say units. And since we're talking about the area, it is squared. So our area is 10 units squared. Okay? Now, when we understand how to find the area of a triangle, we can use that to reverse engineer it and find a missing dimension when given the area. So in this example, right, we have area equals 12.5 inches squared. Okay? We know that one side is 5 inches. We need to know what is this other side. Okay? Well, again, we're going to use that formula. All right? A equals 1/2 base times height. Okay, well, we know one of the values. These form a right angle here. Okay, so we know that that's the base and the height, the x and the 5. So we can plug that in. Equals 1/2. I'll say 5, but then I just have the variable x. Okay, so we're going to simplify what we can. Well, we can multiply it 1/2 times 5, and that's going to be 2.5, and I'll change it into decimal since that is what our answer is in. Okay, so 2.5, but we haven't been able to multiply x yet. So I know that area is going to equal 2.5x. Now, one thing we do know, we have two variables. We have a, which stands for area, and x, which stands for our missing side length. Well, we know that the area is 12.5 inches squared. So I could put 12.5 inches squared, right? I don't need to write inches squared, so just 12.5 equals 2.5x. And I could have plugged that in all the way up here even too, because that is, right, we knew that from the beginning. We knew that from the get-go, that area equaled that. So whereas in the beginning of this, right, a was the unknown variable. We didn't know what it was, and we had to find it. In this case, we're not looking for a, we already know it. We're looking for x. Okay. Once we get here, you can solve it mentally or just using the different strategies we've learned with solving one-step equations. Okay? So one-step equation would say, in order to solve this, we need to do the inverse operation of what is being done to the variable. So that variable is being multiplied by 2.5, while inverse meaning opposite. The opposite operation would be divided. So I'm going to divide this by 2.5. And if I do that to one side, I have to do it to the other side. So I would end up getting, well, this would cancel out, because that's what that inverse operation undoes that operation. And then we have here, well, 12.5 divided by 2.5, that is 5. Okay? Another way you could have solved it maybe mentally for some easier problems, we're saying, okay, 12.5 equals 2.5 times x. That means, like, what times 2.5 is going to equal 12.5? And that would be 5 also. Okay? But the answer here would be x equals 5. And in this case, we do know the dimensions. And then we need to decide, is it 5 inches squared? Well, x represents a side length. A side length is not area. It is simply a length. And so we do not put square.